Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you a very special video. Yes, we're going to be discussing my top 10 horror franchises of all time.
Bloody Jacob.
Bloody Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel here.
And in terms of a plan, we fight.
The sexy, awesome, exclusive content.
And happy Halloween again to everyone. I did a couple videos yesterday, just some random horror reviews I needed to catch up on. But this is really my main big Halloween horror video for the year. I do plan on doing more videos like ranking a lot of these franchises specifically, individually. But I thought this was one I needed to touch on. Like Cody Leach and Sean Chandler they're doing their 31 on 31. A bunch of people are doing this sort of ranking type of thing these days. Not that they aren't the rest of the year, but I thought for me it would be good to finally and definitively nail down my personal top 10 rankings of my favorite horror franchises. And again, let me specify, these aren't necessarily ranking movie by movie or anything like that. That'd be a little bit crazy because they're all still pretty different. And this isn't ranking characters either. I force myself to think about overall. So like if like one character, like one certain killer, I actually favor over more of the others, that's not what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about that, but I'm also thinking about the franchise and series as a whole. How many of these movies do I actually like? How many of these movies do I actually love? As an overall package, what franchise do I put as stronger than the others? So on and so forth. So it's more of like a bigger picture sort of ranking overall in general. Hopefully I explained that somewhat adequately. So this is a tough list for me to come up with, both separating my moods, also what means more to me personally, what I honestly think has the best set of movies that I enjoy the most consistently. But yeah, I'm also very excited to finally nail this down, hopefully definitively for a while. A little bit later on, hopefully over the next couple months or something at least, I'll be ranking again these individual franchises. But yeah, so of course I kind of gave away what ones are on the list in the thumbnail already, but still, you don't know what order they're in, so keep listening, listen to me ramble. And again, I apologize for the video quality. I know it's just a webcam. I do need to get a new one. I was using my phone for a little bit to record videos, which is better, definitely better quality wise. But for some reason, it just takes it's a hassle to get it transferred over and get it uploaded that way. Convert it, then put it into the intro and stuff. So it is what it is with this. So please bear with me. It's not terrible, but people have randomly gotten on my ass about it before. The point of this video isn't really like a visual thing anyway. It's more just to hear what I'm saying. So I think it's fine on that end. But yeah, anyway, kicking it off. Well, before we kick it off, there are a couple franchises I left out. Like a lot of people use like George Romero's zombie dead movies, which basically means like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. The few others that were less successful after that, but to me they're just not like as cohesive as a series necessarily, even though a lot of them have like their themes, especially those early Romero ones. They're just not like as tied together for me. They're more just, okay, that zombie movie is good, that zombie movie is good, but they're not like a package together necessarily. I don't know. I know it works that way for some people, but even if they were, I didn't quite see them as being put ahead of these on this list for me. Another one, people say like maybe Terminator. I fucking love Terminator, but past the first movie, it's not really a horror franchise, so it doesn't really count. Another one I thought of is like the Universal classic monsters and stuff like that. Not as cohesive, but they definitely are a unit. Honestly, there's just not a lot of those types of movies I honestly love. I love the certain characters and what they did for the genre. I love the Wolfman remake. I love the a couple of the older Dracula and Wolfman movies too, but just not quite up to par with some of these for me. The Wolfman remake 2010, extremely underrated though. It's one of my favorite horror movies ever. I actually did rank my favorite horror movies individually, probably a good few years ago. I gotta update that as well. But yeah, so the actual top 10 of my horror franchises here, starting with number 10, is going to be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yes, starting with the original Tobe Hooper film in 1974, through all the lesser sequels into the 03 remake with Jessica Biel, the prequel to that at the beginning, Texas Chainsaw, Leatherface, and now we have another reboot film on the horizon apparently. I really do like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. I honestly, for me, the 03 remake I like even more than the original film. Both from a filming standpoint, just like entertainment value, I always enjoyed that one more. Maybe it's I'm the younger generation or something, I don't know. I always liked the beginning quite a bit as well. I even liked Texas Chainsaw 3D. Kill me. A lot of the acting was shit in that one, but I like what they tried to do with the Leatherface character in the town and, the kind of the flip of it. Leatherface was alright. I think it was like the one about the teen Leatherface. It was alright. It's more like an individual side story type of villain, I think. It was alright, but did we really need it? No. So I really like it. So I'm just in the mood for this classic sort of lost on the road trip, cannibal family type of thing. I really enjoy that. A lot of times I like when the focus still comes to Leatherface, though I don't always like it being an ensemble completely. But, I am in the mood for this sort of twang, once in a blue moon. Leatherface, he does rank it a little bit higher than the overall franchise does for me. Not necessarily at the tippity top, but franchise itself still comes in at number 10. What keeps it only at number 10, though, is... And by the way, all these franchises I love, obviously, because, they're in the top 10, okay? But I always have to explain why it's not any higher, so that's what I'm doing here. Why Texas Chainsaw Massacre isn't any higher is that there's a lot of weak entries in this franchise. I'm aware of that. I really enjoy Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I even like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Past Matthew McConaughey's performance in The Next Generation, though, that movie's crap. I like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre for sure. It has its place in the genre, but I don't really hold it in as high regard as some do, but I recognize what it did for it initially when it came out. So that's what holds it back. And just like the highs of this one don't reach the highs of some of the other series on this list. So yeah, number 9. Number 9 is going to be probably a pretty controversial entry, mostly because of what this director's done. Victor, I shouldn't even say his name, you know who I mean. What this director's done in his personal life, and yes, I'm talking about the Jeepers Creepers franchise, the 3 films we've gotten so far, Jeepers Creepers 1, 2, and 3. Now, why this franchise is on the list isn't because it's... I guess it's me separating the art from the artist, if you want to put it that way. Not that I condone what Victor whatever did. He's a piece of shit, and he should rot in hell. If he died today, I think he deserved it for sure. But the fact of the matter is that there are other people that have worked on these movies as well that aren't complete assholes, as far as we know. So we shouldn't completely sandbag others' work that were involved with this as well. I don't know, I guess I'm able to separate more than others. I don't know, please don't send me to hell for, still enjoying these movies. And why this series is on here is because of the Creeper itself. I think it's one of the greatest monsters, horror characters, and killers we've gotten in the past 2 decades, honestly. I really do. To me, it's one of the most unique, interesting, and just awesome things, but from a design standpoint and what it can do, it feels distinguished and just not like a copycat of previous successes from decades ago. So that's why I hold these movies in such high regard, is because it's how much I enjoy the monster itself. What still keeps it at number 9, though, is that we haven't really gotten a cap off to the series yet, and will we? I don't know, because of obviously the director. I love the first Jeepers Creepers. I think sometimes it's actually probably within my top 15 favorite horror movies ever, or at least top 20. I find the second one to be entertaining, fun, but doesn't really have that same atmosphere as often. But I like the premise, I like the characters in that, Ray Wise and everything. Jeepers Creepers 3 just wasn't very good, though. It felt much cheaper. The Creeper's still cool, I like the things with the truck, but it was more like a Jeepers Creepers 1.5 movie. If we ever do get a 4th movie, the whole cathedral thing they were talking about previously, and they bring back like Gina Phillips and Ray Wise and have it be like a climactic showdown with the Creeper, we find out its origin and everything like that, I think it'll strengthen this series even more for me, and I could probably bump it up another couple notches at least. But until then, it's just not quite capped off like some of the others for me. But still, I think people need to give it a little more credit. And I think the Creeper itself is extremely good. That's all you can go with. But yeah, so number 9 is Jeepers Creepers franchise. And number 8, people are going to be pissed at me for not having this franchise higher, but you got to be honest with yourself about why that might be. But still, we're going to talk about the positives first. And number 8 is the Halloween franchise. Yes, a lot of people consider the first Halloween movie to be possibly even the greatest horror movie ever. I don't quite think of it that way. No, don't get me wrong. I really like Halloween 1978. I think I like it more than the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, just for context, what I said previously. Okay. I also think it's better than the first Friday film and such, and it's great with the suspense. Michael Myers himself comes across really well. The music, of course, is iconic. The performances are all pretty good too. And Jamie Lee Curtis is fine. I just don't think Laurie Strode is quite what people blow her up to be. Give me Nancy Thompson any day. I just don't think she's actually written as cool and badass as some people make her out to be until these newer movies. Because she really fumbles around and it's very sloppy, and you think, okay, why can't Michael get her in this house? Come on. Like when he's around the couch and everything, it just feels a little bit clunky, when you watch it now. But nonetheless, there are some really tense, suspenseful moments. It's very eerie. That first movie. He's breaking into the closet and everything too. Halloween 2, it's an okay, decent slasher. It's a little more straightforward. Season of the Witch, I've barely watched. I may need to watch it again because it seems to have gotten a better following with people over the years. But it's not really a part of it, the franchise, as far as I'm concerned. It should have just been something of its own. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, I actually like quite a bit. I think it's the best original sequel. I like the atmosphere in it. I like the whole militia trying to hunt Michael around the town while he's trying to get to, Danielle Harris's character, Jamie. Great to have Danielle in these movies. Of course, she's an icon of this genre. Halloween 5, still like having Jamie around, but it's definitely not as cohesive for me. It starts introducing the whole Curse of the Thorn thing and the Man in Black. Not very good. Curse of Michael Myers, I need to revisit. I actually think it might be slightly better than Revenge of Michael Myers number 5. I don't know. It depends. But still not very good. Halloween Resurrection has a weird fun factor to it if you're in the mood, but not very good. I hate the found footage shit. I don't think Busta Rhymes doing Kung Fu really fit. H2O I actually think is decent. I like Josh Hartnett. And then there was, for some reason I'm forgetting one of the other ones right now. What's that Resurrection after that? Maybe. But yeah, I'm also someone who actually really likes Rob Zombie's Halloween movies as well, so that's what put it a little bit to where it was. I think the first movie is well predictable with it's the nature remake of it. I think it actually does it fairly well, and I like them giving Michael a more realistic backstory, not a whole Curse of the Thorn mystery thing. I know some people like like going with less is more. Okay, we don't want to know what he actually went through as a kid. We just want to see, okay, he's this mysterious, evil, faceless entity. We don't want an explanation, motivations, anything. But okay, cool. Take that original series and use that. But here we got a different perspective on it. So take your pick. You don't got to bash the other one. But I actually think the actor who played the young Michael in the first movie was actually very good. He did really well with it. He looked creepy, the way he delivered his lines and his posture and his mannerisms and everything. I thought worked so well. The flashback, the first half an hour, 40 minutes, is probably the best part of the movie. Malcolm McDowell makes a good Loomis in this movie, actually. And Sherry Moon Zombie, for all the people that say, you know, she's overused in Rob Zombie's movies, I think this is probably her best performance. And I think Michael's mask is pretty fucking awesome as well. And it's great to see Danielle Harris have a supporting role in this as Annie this time. I think she's good. You get Brad Dourif of Chucky as her dad, the sheriff. And I actually think Scout Taylor Compton in both Rob Zombie films does a really nice job as Laurie Strode. And it's more realistic, and what she goes through in Halloween 2, I think it's a much more psychologically interesting and intense story than just like the bland, you know, typical generic final girl. That didn't work quite as well for me, like I talked about earlier. So I think Scout Taylor Compton's version is actually superior. Yep, I'm saying it. Scout Taylor Compton over Jamie Lee Curtis. But they showed us brought Danielle Harris back, seriously, in these new movies. And then as far as Halloween 2018, I thought it was okay. I liked it alright. I liked it quite a bit upon first viewing, but then as soon as I let it set, not quite as much. Michael was great. I thought they handled that well. Jamie Lee Curtis comes off better than she did in any of the previous movies. The rest of the cast is fine too. A little bit too much weird, misplaced humor though, and the whole like weird doctor thing just didn't quite work for me, and it felt a little bit safe with what it was trying to do. I don't know, it was good. I appreciate it, and I'll see what Halloween Kills does in the movie after that. I don't think it needed to be a 3-part thing though, but yeah. So anyway, number 8 is the Halloween franchise. Number 7. Yes, I'm kind of cheating here and putting honestly 2 kind of separate franchises together, but I just thought it was easier this way, and they kind of go hand in hand for me, so that's how it makes sense for me. And we're going to be talking about the Alien and Predator series. And yes, we're going through all the Predator films, the Alien films, the AVP films, all that. And I know there are images, those were images from the game, at least the Predator one. But yeah, so of course, Predator on its own, the original Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I fucking love Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? He's my favorite action star of all time. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. I have a poster of him, like, right here. That movie on its own is, I do rate incredibly highly. But it's almost like every Predator movie after that, I don't think is nearly as successful. And you'll see it's kind of the same thing with the Alien franchise when I talk about it in a minute. Like Predator 2, I actually watched quite a bit, but I don't think it's very good. I don't really want to go back to it at any point. And then you have a movie like, you know, Predators. I actually think is better than The Predator, which you know, came out recently. You know, a few years ago, whatever it was. Predators with Adrian Brody and Alice Braga and what was her name? Excuse me. Sorry about that. I want to give her more credit, so I'm trying not to butcher her name. Okay, yeah, Alice Braga. Okay, excuse me. Sorry for that. I actually liked her casting in this movie quite a bit as well. She's a good actress. But yeah, I thought Predators was better than both Predator 2 and the new movie Predator, which was just a weird CG humor-filled fuck-up. In my opinion, I hated the new Predator movie. Thomas Jane was in it. You know, bless him, but he was just part of this weird ensemble. It just didn't work as well as they were trying to make it work. Really tried to make it work. And you get this fugitive Predator storyline, which was actually kind of interesting, that he just ends up getting killed off as like gigantic CG bad blood Predator that just did not work. Boyd Holbrook, I didn't really care for as a protagonist either. So yeah, it definitely got brought down after the first movie for me. Predators is alright though. Alien, of course, is a classic. Take that, sure. Aliens, very good. I honestly think I prefer Aliens slightly, but it depends on my mood. But then Alien 3, while not necessarily a badly made film from a production level, you know, all the history of it if you're a fan of the franchise. So it obviously took some very poor directions, you know, if it's a good looking movie. Alien Resurrection, I barely remember. But hey, Ron Perlman, it's there. And then you have like the Prometheus and Alien Covenant movies, which don't even feel like part of it. It just feels like some weird retelling or alternate take of what we'd all expect the explanation for these things' origins would be. They're all right, but I never watched them again, honestly. Maybe Prometheus, but probably not. Now the AVP movies, though. I actually have quite a bit of an attachment to those, a lot more than most people do. I actually watch those a shit ton. I actually always really enjoyed them. AVP, the whole Antarctica setting, I like the lore they created with the Predators using aliens for rituals to, you know, achieve manhood, essentially, right? And, you know, the sacrificial thing that went back through our history and everything I actually thought was, you know, pretty cool. You know, the Scar Predator and everything like that, I liked him a lot. AVP Requiem, I didn't think, obviously it's not a very good movie, there's a lot of shitty acting in it. Yes, it could be brightened up a little bit, but it's not really that bad. Just focus and you can see what's going on, come on. I love the wolf predator in that movie, the main predator. I think he's the best predator we've ever seen in live action. And it's a shame he got, you know, sort of covered up by such a bad movie. But he's just a badass. He's incredibly skilled, and I watched the movie over and over just for him. And, you know, the way he mourns his fallen comrades when he gets to the crash ship and everything, I think is really cool. Definitely the closest we've got to seeing things from a predator's perspective, but you always gotta have a human in there. Although I don't think the main guy Dallas is that bad in the movie. But yeah, so overall, it's actually all these together are still really fun for me. The Alien series, the Predator series, the AVP movies, but there's just a lot of bad mixed in with those chunks of good for me. But it still puts it at number, what is it, 6? Wait, no, 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay, 7, excuse me. It still puts it at number 6 for me overall with all those together. And like I said, those individual movies, Predator, Alien, and Aliens, would be higher on my list, even the AVP movies, but still, you know, thinking about it again, I might be able to knock it up like a notch or two, maybe on a different day, but it's not going to be much, it's not going to be too far off from where it is here. And then number 6 is something that sort of came into my life fairly recently, and you guys may have noticed if you've been looking at my channel at all. Excuse me. And that is the Leprechaun franchise. Yes, Leprechaun is number 1. Yes, lass, they took my gold. Now I have to get it back, and I'll kill you for it. That's terrible. that was my attempt. But yes, the Leprechaun series is number 6 on my list. Warwick Davis, all the way to Lyndon Porco and Leprechaun Returns. Not Leprechaun Origins, though. I hate Leprechaun Origins. It's just a generic creature feature. It's okay, but it's not a Leprechaun movie. See my review on that to get more thoughts, but I really, really enjoyed the Leprechaun movies. I didn't watch them until like the past year or two. But now they hold a pretty special place in my heart. I mean, I have a shirt, I have an enamel pin, I have the Steelbook Blu-ray collection. I just think Warwick Davis is really, really special as a character. Even in the later movies where the quality dips again, you still have Warwick Davis there. He reminds me a little bit of sort of my like Freddy sweater, by the way, even though it's not technically made for that. He sort of reminds me of like Robert Englund's Freddy. Even if the movies get lesser, he somehow kept persevering, keeps delivering the same caliber of performance and effort. And so it automatically saves every film he's in because he's just so damn entertaining as a Leprechaun, guys. I like the first Leprechaun a lot. You know, I was lukewarm on it at first, so I just rewatched it again for Halloween with my fiance, and I do like it quite a bit more. Leprechaun 2 I actually like quite a bit as well. Leprechaun 3 I think is the best overall. Space, it has its drawbacks, but I don't think it's as horrendous as people say. In the Hood is probably my least favorite, besides Origins. It's just a bit of a boring, poorly made movie. editing wise too. But again, still Warwick Davis, so I do like it. Back to the Hood, I think is one of the 2 or 3 best of the whole series. I really like that one. And then Leprechaun Returns, I think, is actually very good. I think it's one of the 2 or 3 best of the franchise as well. I hope Warwick Davis comes back someday. He said he wanted to step away from horror while his sons were, are still growing and trying to get out of the house and everything, but maybe we'll see him return. I think it's possible. But until then, I won't mind seeing Lyndon Porco return to the role, because I actually think Leprechaun Returns was quite good. But yeah, so overall, it's a really entertaining, kind of persevering series for me. I acknowledge it. Not all of them are, necessarily great movies, but they have an entertainment value for me that doesn't really exist with most of these other ones. So it is number 6, honestly, and I think I could see it going a little bit higher at some point someday. So yeah, number 6 is the Leprechaun franchise. And yes, we're getting into the top 5 now, guys. Top 5, I know. Number 5, this is really tough for me. Like, I'm still thinking about right down to the last minute, really. Number 5 is, okay, again, this is tough. Number 5 is going to be the Gingersnaps movies. Yes, the Gingersnaps trilogy starring Katharine Isabelle and Emily Perkins. And I thought this art from the Blu-ray Collector's Edition of the first film would work really well for my video. But yes, Gingersnaps, the first movie itself, may be my favorite horror movie of all time, one of my favorite movies ever. But again, like I explained at the start of the video, I am trying to think about this as an overall package. And the sequel it's a decent sequel, and I actually like the prequel quite a bit. But the issue is we never got a cap off to the series. The way Gingersnaps 2 ends, it's not very satisfying. It doesn't feel like the last part of the story for me. Now, if we got like a real Gingersnaps 4, maybe that would change, but I don't think we're going to get it at this point. They did just announce a TV series, though. Of course, it's going to be a retelling with new cast and everything like that. We'll see how that goes. I'm a little bit wary. But yeah, so the sequel is okay. I'll watch it. The prequel I do like more. But like I said, it just doesn't have that cap off, similar to my issue with the Jeepers Creepers films. If it did, it might be even higher. And Gingersnaps, the first Gingersnaps on its own, is maybe number 1 of all horror for me. Okay, but total package, it has some weaknesses, but it doesn't take away from still being at number 5 overall out of any horror franchise. That's not a small thing. Like I said, I think the first Gingersnaps is a classic, maybe number 1 by itself. Just a great, really unique story with these 2 sisters. They're sort of doing like the parallel of going through their teen years and everything for females and such, and just coming of age in general, playing on that. They're outcasts, obsessed with death, macabre, that kind of thing, or macabre, whatever you want to say. Great performances, especially from Katharine Isabelle. If you guys didn't know, I absolutely adore her. I managed to meet her in 2017. She's my all-time favorite actress. I want to put her at number 1 just for that, but again, I have to think about overall series. But she's great in this as the older sister, Ginger. Funny that Katharine Isabelle is actually younger than Emily Perkins, but hey, when you play it, you play it. Emily Perkins gives really strong performances in these movies as well. And it just has a nice little production value to it. It feels very real and kind of gritty in its way. I really like that aspect of it. I remember when I first started watching these movies, the first one especially, I was taking notes. My original reviews of the Gingersnaps movies are like half an hour to like 45-50 minutes each. Okay. So yeah, I got pretty into them. One weakness of the first movie, though, is that I'm a bit iffy on the werewolf design. It's definitely different, but not my favorite. I know some people don't really care for it at all. I think it's good, but just not my preferred design. But like I said, 2 is a decent sequel. Just it doesn't have as much of Ginger for obvious reasons. That takes away from it a bit, and it feels like a bit more of a conventional story, although I do like the setting of it and everything. Don't care for Ghost, and I don't think it was a proper ending to the series. The prequel, though, I think is better. Set in like the 1800s or whatever it was, 1900s early. I don't remember. But I like the setting of it at the fort and everything, where they're running out of supplies. The sisters, these ancestors, the sisters appear there. And it just ends in a really different and cool way. I actually think, definitely put a better feather in its cap than part 2 did. Number 5 is the Gingersnaps trilogy. And number 4, yes, I do believe we're at number 4 now. Yep, okay. Number 4 is going to be the Child's Play and Chucky franchise. Yes, number 4. It's a Chucky. Really happy to talk about Chucky here. He's another one that I didn't get into until like the past few years, but he's won my heart. I've had the pleasure of meeting Brad Dourif, and as well as his daughter Fiona Dourif, and Chucky, like the Leprechaun, has this like huge entertainment value for me as a character on its own. I love his design. I love the style of most of these movies. And it's just very iconic. Chucky's voice, Brad Dourif's voice, and everything. Of course, the first Child's Play movie, it set the tone, but it just gets almost better and better as it goes, almost, for a little bit. Child's Play 2, I think, is maybe the best, alongside Bride of Chucky. Child's Play 3, you can tell the formula was starting to wear out a little bit by like the military academy setting and everything like that. The festival, I think it's actually a lot of fun. It's solid. Bride of Chucky just revitalizes the franchise. I think Don Mancini's done a good job of that. I love the addition of Tiffany, played by Jennifer Tilly. I think that's great. I love their chemistry and their dynamic. It's an awesome movie. Directed by Ronnie Yu. Seed of Chucky, a lot of people hate, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it too much. Do I care that Glenda didn't appear after the movie? Not really, but I still don't mind it. It has, again, that Chucky and Tiffany dynamic still going strong, and that kind of meta fourth wall breaking with Jennifer Tilly playing herself in the movie as well as Tiffany. Curse of Chucky, I think, is alright. They try to bring it back to its roots. It's a little bit boring, though, but we get Fiona Dourif as Nina. Nika, or I forget what her name was exactly, but she is really good in it. Call of Chucky, I haven't seen in a while, but I don't really care for it, the multi-Chucky thing, although I do like seeing Alex Vincent back as Andy, and seeing him keeping the original Chucky's head at his home and everything that happens with that, seeing the return of Kyle and everything. That part of it was great. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what they've done with the Chucky TV series coming on Sci-Fi. I have high hopes for that one. Brad Dourif coming back to it and everything too. So I think that'll maybe bump this franchise up even higher once that hits, because I am including TV shows with these franchises as well, by the way. Number 4 is old Chucky. So let you guys talk about that. And yes, we're in the top 3 now, and this is incredibly difficult. I've shifted these quite a bit, and they could probably shift again tomorrow, who knows, but roughly this is what it is, honestly, when it comes down to it, I believe, for myself. Okay, number 3 is the Friday the 13th franchise. Yes, and I'm using the image from the new Blu-ray collection that just came out, which I can't afford, and apparently it has issues anyway, in terms of some stuff being cut out and just not working properly, but still cool artwork to use for a video. But yeah, I love the Friday the 13th franchise. It's one of the main things that really got me to love horror in general and slasher movies. And again, like I've said 20 times in this video, we're talking about the overall package, though. Each franchise, or each movie and franchise together, and what does that come up to? But if we were just talking about killers or characters on their own, Jason may be number 1 or 2 for me. But in terms of overall series, there's definitely some clunkers in there, which keep it just away from being number 1 or 2 for me. But still, it's a very classic series for me. Number 1, I don't really rewatch that often, but I actually think part 2 is pretty good. Everything with Jason, that's when it really kicks off. I actually think part 2 is a pretty good movie. I like Ginny and everything. I think she's actually preferred to Alice and some of the other protagonists in the Friday series. 3 I like, Jason first getting his mask, spear, gun, kill, and everything like that. Part 4 is objectively maybe the best original Friday movie, maybe, alongside 6. 5, the whole copycat thing, Roy, it was okay. I think just very bland slasher movie with very basic kills, and then not to mention it was edited to fuck thanks to the MPAA. Part 6, Jason Lives, I think is maybe my favorite movie overall. It has the gloomy atmosphere, yet it's more kind of comedic, a bit more self-aware. A great, badass, awesome Jason now resurrected in zombie mode. I think it's great. 7 could have maybe been the best. It's the first movie with Kane Hodder, who is awesome. I've managed to meet him as well. But unfortunately, that was also forced to be edited down to fuck, so it takes away from what we would have had Jason versus Carrie or whatever it was. And we sort of did, and we get the weed whacker thing, but we don't get to see it, just like a bunch of stuff in this movie. Jason looks incredible with his mask off, and I like the final fight between him and Carrie at the end of the house coming down and everything. But then the ending's weird. Jason gets dragged in by apparently her father. That felt repetitive and just didn't make sense. 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, or Jason Takes a Cruise Ship, or whatever it is. It's alright, it has its entertainment value to it, I think. But like I said, it's only like 20 minutes in the city, like everyone else has said. There's still some memorable stuff in there. The ending, again, it feels just bland and out of nowhere. Okay, that's how it leaves off. Jason Goes to Hell, I haven't watched in a while, but it's okay. Again, I don't really like the whole possession aspect. They tried to do something different, I just didn't care for it necessarily. But of course, you get that setup, that Freddy tease at the end with Jason's mask being dragged down to hell, supposedly tying into Freddy versus Jason, even though they didn't do it for another 10 or so years. Freddy versus Jason, I think, is awesome. Now, it does come off like more of a Jason in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie than the other way around, so it's still kind of more of Freddy's rapping overall. But still, I consider it a movie for both franchises, and I fucking love Freddy versus Jason. Yes, Kane Hodder should have played him, but I think Ken Kersinger did a fine job. I actually like how Jason is written in Freddy vs. Jason. Some people didn't like the whole anti-hero perspective. I thought it made sense with an evil, sinister fuck like Freddy Krueger. Playing on Jason's fear, not his roots. It wasn't really Jason's fault what happened to him, unlike Freddy. So I like how that's played on. Catherine Isabel's in it, entertaining as Gibb. She should have been the lead. But Monica Keena isn't too bad either. And it's... what more could you want? You got Brendan Fletcher in there, then you have a fight between the two that's bloody as fuck. Yes, over the top, but I could watch that fight over and over, I swear. I think it's really, really, really satisfying. And then the Friday the 13th remake, I think, is actually the best of... it's at least better than the Nightmare remake. Kind of a toss-up between that and the Texas Chainsaw one. But Derek Mears is awesome as Jason. It's a shame we haven't gotten another Friday movie since. Too bad for him. I think he's arguably the best Jason. Even though, again, back to Friday, Ken Kersinger, I thought he did fine, and I've met Ken Kersinger and Derek Mears as well. Both really great guys. I've also managed to see like almost all the Jasons besides the couple that have passed away, unfortunately, before I had the chance. But I was at this big convention where they had like a Jason reunion panel. It was a lot of fun. CJ Graham as well. But yeah, so number 3, like I said, if it was just Jason, if we were just talking about the characters, Jason himself would probably be number 2, if not number 1. But overall, there's some clunkers, but the Friday movies still mean a lot to me. I also love the video game they put out. that was just a dream come true. So yeah, number 3 is, as of now, Friday the 13th. But that could change tomorrow. Maybe it would be number 1. Who knows? And now, the top 2, as of now. It really came down to the wire here. And I honestly could, again, go either way with these top 3, honestly. But as of now, my number 2 horror franchise is... we're going with the Evil Dead series. Yes, we're talking about the original Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, the remake with Jane Levy, and Ash vs. Evil Dead, the TV show. And yes, like I said, I'm including TV shows, because we're not just talking about a movie series, we're talking about the franchise, right? Technically. So yeah, and of course it connected directly into the movie, so it counts. I thought Ash vs. Evil Dead was incredible. I think it was a love letter for fans. If you didn't enjoy it, I don't get it. Dana DiLorenzo is absolutely incredible, pretty much a revelation as Kelly Maxwell. I've met Bruce Campbell, really cool guy, lives up to everything you'd think. Dana DiLorenzo in person is awesome, though. In my opinion, Kelly Maxwell is like one of the best female characters to come out of horror in decades. I think she's one of the greatest. The show is just a lot of fun, and it's a shame it got cut off when it did, but still 3 glorious seasons, so please check it out. They're only like half an hour to, like 25 to 40 minute episodes each, so please binge watch the shit out of it. It's a blast. And then Evil Dead itself, it's a bit slower, a bit more, kind of basic, but it works to set up the rest of the series. Evil Dead 2, despite the weird recap thing at the beginning, Evil Dead 2 I think is the best movie. Has a bit of that humor, but it still has some of that seriousness retained that I think is a great mesh. And you get Henrietta in the basement and everything like that too. That's just awesome. By the end you get Ash taking his hand off with the chainsaw for the first time. Then Army of Darkness is a lot of fun as well. You get the whole boomstick speech and everything like that, and that's just when the comedic side of it and Bruce Campbell's personality just reaches an all-time high. And so it's a lot of fun to watch too, and Ash vs. Evil Dead is such a superb continuation of all of that, and it really became something special. And I also went to a Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi panel as well, and they're just a hoot together, and they're really knowledgeable, and they really do care a lot about their craft. And if you can see, it's sort of like right there above my finger. I have an Ash vs. Evil Dead poster signed by Bruce Campbell, Dana DiLorenzo, Ray Santiago. Just gotta get maybe Ted Raimi and Lucy Lawless at some point, but then I have photo ops with them as well, which I do for mostly everyone. Almost. I've done well. I've been really lucky with my convention experiences. But yeah, so number 2 is Evil Dead. I did almost think about putting this at number 1. I also think the 2013 remake is good. It's a lot more serious, but I think it was actually successful in going that route, which is rare. Jane Levy, I think she's a really talented actress. She was great as the lead. It's a shame we never got that follow-up from Fede Alvarez, but it is what it is. And I suppose we were getting another new Evil Dead movie with a new female lead in some kind of tower or something. We'll see how that goes. I'm open to it, but I'd rather just the show resurface somehow. Bruce Campbell's done with it, so that is what it is. Gotta accept it and move on and take what we have. But yeah, so I did almost put Evil Dead at number 1. I do think it is actually, from a consistency standpoint, stronger than both Friday 13th and this next series. But this next one just means a tad bit more to me as of now. And that's why number 1 is going to be A Nightmare on Elm Street. Yes, A Nightmare on Elm Street is my number 1 favorite horror franchise of all time. And yes, I've been lucky enough to meet Robert Englund himself twice now, and I do have a photo of him. It's actually like over there. I also have his signature and everything. Heather Langenkamp's Nancy Thompson, I think, is the greatest final girl of all time. Yes, I'm saying it. And just like I was talking about with the Leprechaun earlier, there's some, not very good movies in this series, I know that, but Robert Englund's effort, perseverance, and just energy and charisma as Freddy shines through all of that. Even in Freddy's Dead, it still keeps an entertainment value thanks to him. The first Nightmare on Elm Street is a classic, very basic, yet has a really creative dash that came in just at the right time when all you were getting was like masked, voiceless killers like Michael and Jason, which is fine, but Nightmare and Freddy really changed things and really became something of its own. I also own and have read Robert Englund's autobiography, which is a really cool and interesting, in-depth read that you should check out yourself, Hollywood Monster. I think Robert Englund is maybe the hardest working guy I've ever seen in this business in terms of the biggest stars. Really, really great insight this guy has, and he really has a passion for his fans in the series. He puts up with a lot, but whenever you do get lucky enough to see him at a convention, he's so enthused, he's so on the ball, and you can tell just how much he really cares. Incredible guy. So that's part of why it's number 1 for me. Part 4, Dream Master, I actually like quite a bit, because one of the conventions I was at actually had a cast reunion from that movie. We got to see Dream Master on the outdoor big screen, so that was a really cool experience. Like Dream Master quite a bit. I even like 5, Dream Child. Has issues, but I like it, so it's a lot of fun. Freddy's Dead, again, not very good. It's Robert Englund's least favorite. It's my least favorite too. too much comedy. This became too much at that point, and the makeup on Freddy was a bit lackluster. New Nightmare, though, it is pretty good. It's kind of Wes Craven applying some of his Scream style to Nightmare. I know it's good. It was good to see at least Heather Langenkamp back and everything. And as far as the remake goes, with Jackie Earle Haley, I actually think Jackie Earle Haley did a good job. Just the design choice for Freddy's makeup was a bit weird. I understand what they're going for with the real burn victim type of thing, I guess. Rooney Mara just did not work as Nancy, though. She is just, I don't know if she sandbagged the thing or what. She is just very dull. I understand she's probably trying to play like a depressed person, deprived of sleep and everything, but in my opinion, it would have worked better if they had Katie Cassidy, who played Tina in the remake, be the lead. I think that switcheroo would have actually worked. Because at first Katie Cassidy's Tina comes off like our protagonist, and then she's killed off the same way on the ceiling. I actually think it would have been a good flip, because Katie Cassidy did a really good job acting-wise. But still, there are things about the remake I liked, but at the same time, it was pretty basic. With today's technology and effects, you think they would have done some really elaborate, cool shit with dream sequences, but no, it was mostly kind of spoiler room and kill stuff, so I don't know. I'm excited to see if they ever do another Nightmare film one. There's a lot of new potential with today's effects that they can achieve. We'll see if they ever do it, though. Again, this Nightmare on Elm Street means a lot to me. It holds the most entertainment value from movie to movie. It has a clunker or two in there, but in terms of slashers, it's definitely the most consistent for me, and Robert Englund himself, #1 man. So yeah, let me guys thought, what are your favorite horror franchises of all time? Personally, these were mine. Don't bash it for being so. Let me guys thought, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe. Happy Halloween, and stay safe.